Yeah.
It's basically Jack Canfield just talking about all these different stories he's collected
Oh, cool.
for his book. And, he's got a lot of interesting insights about, the human experience and kind of the power of storytelling
Yeah.
and things like that. So we're going to be diving into these stories and kind of pulling out what we think are some of the most interesting and thought-provoking elements.
Sounds great. I'm really interested to hear what you found.
Yeah, me too. One of the themes that really jumps out at me right away is this idea of love and kindness having like a ripple effect.
Right.
And there's this one story about a teacher who had this incredible impact on her students. A lot of her students came from disadvantaged backgrounds, but she really believed in them and she loved them unconditionally. And, years later, these students went on to achieve some pretty incredible things. And they all attributed their success to her and her unwavering support.
It's amazing how powerful that kind of belief can be.
It really is. It makes you think, how often do we underestimate the impact of just, genuinely caring for someone?
It's so true. It's easy to get caught up in our own lives
Yeah,
and forget how much of a difference we can make just by being present.
absolutely. And it reminds me of this other story in the transcript about the blue ribbon exercise. Have you ever heard of that?
No, I think
So basically, it's this exercise where you give a blue ribbon to someone you admire, and you tell them why you admire them, and then you give them an extra ribbon so they can do the same for someone else. And there's this story about a business executive who ends up giving his ribbon to his teenage son, and he tells him that he loves him for the very first time. And it's this really powerful moment for both of them.
it sounds like it's so important to express those feelings.
Right. Yeah. It's like, sometimes we assume that people just know how we feel about them.
Yeah,
But actually saying it out loud can make a world of difference.
absolutely. It's like a gift you're giving them.
Totally.
Yeah.
And what strikes me about both of these stories is that the intentionality behind the actions, like it wasn't just a fleeting feeling of love or kindness, it was a conscious choice to express those feelings.
You're right. It's like they made a decision
Yeah.
to be loving and to share that with others.
Exactly. Do you think that's part of what makes these actions so powerful?
I think so.
Yeah.
It's like when you're intentional about it,
Yeah.
it becomes more than just a feeling. It's like an action.
Right. Like you're putting that love into action.
Exactly. And that can have a ripple effect.
And this idea of conscious kindness, it comes up again in this story about a cab driver in New York City.
Oh, interesting.
And he makes a point of complimenting his passengers. He believes that spreading goodwill is like the only thing that can save the city from negativity.
Wow. It's a pretty bold statement.
It is. It's like he's on this one-man mission to spread positivity. And, it's contagious. Like, you can't help but smile when someone gives you a genuine compliment.
I know. I always feel so much better after someone says something nice.
Right. So imagine if we all made that effort to spread a little bit of kindness and positivity.
What kind of world would we live in then?
That's the question, isn't it?
Right.
Speaking of the impact of simple actions, there's this other really touching story about an elderly man on a train. And he ends up comforting this distraught laborer who's feeling really lost and ashamed. And the man, he just listens to him and offers some kind words.
Sometimes that's all it takes.
It really is. And the laborer, he's so moved by this simple act of kindness that it completely changes his outlook.
It's amazing how powerful human connection can be.
It really is. It's like in that moment, the laborer realizes that he's not alone and that someone cares about him.
And sometimes that's all it takes.
Exactly. And when I think about that cab driver trying to spread love in New York City and this elderly man comforting a stranger on a train, it makes me think about the connection between these small actions and finding a sense of purpose in life.
Oh, that's an interesting connection.
Yeah. Like, could it be that by focusing on these acts of kindness, we're tapping into something much larger than ourselves?
I think you might be onto something there.
Like maybe our purpose is to connect with each other.
Yeah.
And spread love and kindness.
That's a beautiful thought.
Yeah, it's something to think about. And, speaking of recognizing and expressing love, there's this other great story about Jack Canfield's own father.
Oh, wow.
So apparently his dad always started their conversations with the phrase, "Have I told you yet today how much I adore you?"
Wow. That's amazing.
It is. It's so sweet. And can you imagine growing up with that kind of affirmation?
That's incredible. It must have been so reassuring.
I know. It's like you'd never have to doubt how much you were loved.
It's like a foundation of love.
Exactly. And it makes me think about how often we take the people we love for granted. Like, it's easy to assume that they know how we feel, but do we express it enough? This story really highlights the importance of making those feelings known.
You're right. It's so important to tell people how much they mean to us.
Exactly. And it doesn't have to be these grand gestures or anything. Sometimes it's just about noticing and appreciating the little thing.
Absolutely. And there's another story about a boss who starts doing just that after he does that blue ribbon exercise. He starts expressing his love and appreciation to his wife and kids more openly. And he starts thanking his wife for all the things she does, like keeping the magic drawers full of socks.
The magic drawers.
Yeah, isn't that a cute name?
That's adorable. I love that.
Me too.
So he's thanking her for these little things that she always does but never gets recognition for.
It's like he's finally seeing all the effort she puts in.
Exactly. And it makes a huge difference in their relationship.
It's amazing how much a simple thank you can mean.
It really is. It's like it makes her feel seen and appreciated. And it makes him more aware of all that she does for him.
Exactly. It's like a win-win.
Totally. It makes you wonder what might happen if we all took a moment to acknowledge the efforts of the people around us.
It's a good reminder to be more mindful.
Yeah. Like maybe instead of complaining about what people aren't doing, we could focus on appreciating what they're doing.
I love that idea. It's like shifting your perspective.
Exactly. And you know this story about the boss. It also highlights the fact that it's never too late to change. Like he had been taking his wife for granted for years. But once he realized that, he started making an effort to change.
And it sounds like it made a big difference.
It did. And it wasn't easy for him at first. Like his family was skeptical at first because it was such a change from his usual behavior.
It takes courage to be vulnerable like that.
It really does, especially if you're not used to it. But the rewards can be so worth it.
Absolutely. Stronger relationships, deeper connections.
Exactly. It makes you think about all the ways that we hold back in life, not just with our emotions, but also with our dreams and aspirations.
That's a great point. It's like we're afraid to put ourselves out there.
Yeah. And that actually leads us perfectly into the next group of stories we want to talk about.
Oh, I can't wait to hear about this.
Which are all about overcoming obstacles and achieving dreams.
This is my favorite kind of story.
Me too.
Yeah.
They're so inspiring. Okay, so first up, we have the story of Boxy.
Bopsy.
He was a young boy with leukemia,
Oh,
and his dying wish was to be a fireman.
oh.
And the local fire department, they really went above and beyond to make his dream come true.
That's so heartwarming.
It is. They gave him a uniform. They let him ride in the fire truck. They even made him an honorary fireman. And you know what's amazing is that Bopsy, he actually lived for several months longer than the doctors expected.
Really?
Yeah, and they think it was because having his dream come true gave him this renewed sense of hope and joy.
It's amazing how powerful our dreams can be.
It really is. It's like they give us something to fight for. And even in the face of immense challenges, our dreams can still be a source of light.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
And you know, this story, it also highlights the incredible compassion that exists in the world. Like those firemen, they didn't have to do all that for Bopsy, but they chose to, out of the kindness of their hearts.
It's a testament to the human spirit.
It really is. Okay, so next up we have the story of John Goddard.
John Goddard.
And this guy is amazing. So when he was just 15 years old, he wrote down 127 life goals.
127.
I know. That's a lot of goals.
That's ambitious.
It is. And these weren't your average goals either, like lose weight or get a promotion. He wanted to climb Mount Everest,
Wow.
visit every country in the world, appear in a Tarzan movie.
A Tarzan movie.
I know. It's crazy, right?
That's amazing.
It is. And the thing is, he actually achieved a lot of these goals.
You did.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
What do you think it was that allowed him to achieve so much? I think it was a combination of things. Like, obviously, he was very driven and determined, but I also think he had this unwavering belief in himself, and he wasn't afraid to dream big.
That's so important.
It is. It's like he refused to be limited by conventional expectations, and he just went after what he wanted.
It's inspiring.
It really is. It makes you wonder what we could all accomplish if we weren't so afraid to dream bigger.
I know.
Yeah.
What if we all had 127 life goals?
Right? Like, what would be on your list?
Oh, wow. That's a good question.
Okay, so moving on. We have a story that takes us into the world of chess.
Chess.
Yeah. So there's this chess team from Spanish Harlem called the Royal Knights.
The Royal Knights. I love that name.
Me too. It's
Yeah.
so cool. And these kids, they face all sorts of challenges in their personal lives, poverty, crime, violence, you name it. But through chess, They found a sense of purpose and community.
That's amazing.
It is. And they had this incredible coach who really believed in them, and he pushed them to be their best. And guess what?
Right.
They ended up winning the National Junior High School Chess Championship.
No way. That's incredible.
I know. It's such a feel-good story.
It really is. It shows how much you can achieve when you have the right support system.
Absolutely. And it's a reminder that we all need a place where we feel seen and heard and valued.
That's so true.
And sometimes that sense of belonging can come from the most unexpected places.
Like a chess team.
Exactly. Okay. Last but not least, we have the inspiring story of Lan Bu.
Lan Bu?
He was a Vietnamese refugee who came to America with nothing but the clothes on his back.
Wow.
Yeah. And he and his wife, they faced incredible hardship, but through sheer determination and an unwavering belief in their dreams, they built a successful life for themselves.
That's amazing.
It is. They actually lived in the back room of a bakery for 2 years.
Really?
Yeah, saving every penny they could
Yeah.
so they could eventually buy the business.
Wow. That's dedication.
It is. It's like they channeled their struggles into fuel for their ambitions.
That's a great way to look at it.
And their story. It's a testament to the power of hard work, perseverance, and a relentless focus on a goal.
It's inspiring.
It really is. So as we wrap up this first part of our deep dive, what's the common thread you see running through all these stories?
That's a good question. I think it's a combination of things.
Yeah.
Resilience, determination, a positive mindset, and often the support of others who believe in them.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I think it comes down to a refusal to be defined by their circumstances. They chose to believe in their dreams and pursue them relentlessly, no matter the obstacles.
Powerful stuff.
It really is.
And it's a lesson we can all learn from.
Absolutely.
We'll be back in just a moment. To continue exploring these inspiring stories from Chicken Soup for the Soul. And we are back talking about Chicken Soup for the Soul and some of the themes that have been jumping out to us from all these stories.
Yeah, it's really amazing how these stories that seem so simple on the surface can be so profound when you really start digging into them.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things that we've been talking about is this idea of overcoming obstacles and achieving dreams.
Right, and kind of interwoven with that is this theme of belief and self-confidence.
You know, it comes up again and again in so many of these stories.
Yeah, like it's almost as if believing in yourself is this key that unlocks all this potential.
It's like that saying, whether you think you can or you think you can't. You're right.
Right, exactly. And it makes me think about the story of Angela, the woman who was paralyzed by polio.
Right.
And she had been told she would never walk again. But then during the San Francisco earthquake,
Oh, wow.
something incredible happened. As the hospital was shaking around her, she had this sudden surge of belief, and she started walking.
Wow. That's powerful.
It's like the earthquake shook loose. Not just the physical structures around her, but also the limitations that she had placed on herself.
It's like her mind was holding her back.
Yeah, and when that fear was gone, she was able to do what she thought was impossible.
I wonder how often we do that to ourselves. You know, put these limits on what we think we can do.
That is the question, isn't it? And it makes me think about the story of Tommy.
This adorable 6-year-old who wanted to spread a message of peace. So he decided to start a bumper sticker business. I know, with the slogan, "Peace, please do it."
That's cute.
It is. And he even managed to secure a loan from a children's bank
Really?
to get his business started.
That's amazing.
It is. And what I love about this story is that the adults in his life, they actually took him seriously. They supported his vision and encouraged him.
That's so important.
It is. It's like they recognized that, even though he was young, he had something valuable to offer.
It's a good reminder for all of us to pay attention to the dreams and aspirations of young people.
Totally. And you know, Tommy, he wasn't content with just selling his bumper stickers to anyone. He set his sights on some pretty influential figures.
Oh, really? Like who?
Well, he even convinced his dad to drive him to Ronald Reagan's house.
Wow.
I know.
Did he get to meet the president?
So he didn't actually get to meet the president, but he did sell a bumper sticker to the gatekeeper.
Wow, that's a
It is. It's like this little kid with his big dreams, and he wasn't afraid to go after what he wanted.
I love that.
It's a good reminder that age is no barrier to making a difference.
And that passion and belief can be so infectious.
Exactly. Okay, so shifting gears a bit.
Okay.
Let's talk about the story of Les Brown,
Les Brown.
the man who overcame poverty and learning disabilities to become a successful broadcaster.
That's incredible.
It is. And he actually used to practice his DJ skills with a hairbrush as a microphone, dreaming of a brighter future.
It's like he was already visualizing his success.
Right, and it wasn't an easy journey for him. He faced a lot of setbacks and rejections along the way, but he never gave up on his dream.
It's so important to have that kind of perseverance.
It is. And you know, he even took an unpaid job as an errand boy at a radio station just to get his foot in the door.
Talk about dedication.
I know. And then one fateful Saturday, his big break arrived. So the on-air DJ was drinking on the job. I know. And Les saw his opportunity. He called his mom and his girlfriend, told them to tune in. And then he took over the broadcast.
He just went for it.
He did. He introduced himself as LB Triple P Les Brown, your platter playing Papa.
Wow.
It's such a classic story of being prepared for your moment. Like he had been practicing and visualizing this opportunity for years. And when it finally arrived, he was ready.
It's a good reminder for all of us.
Yeah.
To hone our craft and be ready when opportunity knocks.
Absolutely. You never know when your hairbrush moment will arrive.
Love that.
So you know what's interesting to me is that all these stories about belief and self-confidence, they seem to be connected to this idea of finding meaning and purpose in life.
Well, that's an interesting connection.
Yeah, like when you believe in yourself and your abilities, it kind of naturally leads to this desire to make a difference in the world.
I think you're right.
And that leads us perfectly into the final theme we want to explore today, which is finding meaning and purpose. And this theme is woven throughout all these stories, sometimes subtly, sometimes explicitly, but it's always there.
I'm excited to dive into this.
Yeah, okay, so let's go back to the story about the elderly man on the train who comforted the distraught laborer.
Oh, yeah, that was a powerful one.
It was, and remember at the end of the story, the man realized that he had witnessed Aikido in action, and the essence of it was love. And it just really highlights this transformative power of human connection.
Sometimes the simplest acts of kindness can have the greatest impact.
Absolutely, and it makes me think about how true meaning and purpose often lie in our connection to others and our ability to contribute to something larger than ourselves.
It's not just about personal achievement. It's about making a positive difference.
Exactly. Okay, so speaking of making a difference, there's this story about a fourth grade teacher named Donna. And she came up with this really powerful exercise for her students. So she had them write down all the things they thought they couldn't do, like filling pages with "I can't" statements. And then she had them bury their "I can'ts" in this symbolic act of letting go of limiting beliefs.
I love that.
It is. And she didn't stop there. She also had them replace those "I can'ts" with empowering affirmations like "I can't" or "I'm going to."
That's so powerful.
It is. It's like she was teaching them to shift their focus from limitations to possibilities.
And that's a message that resonates far beyond the classroom.
It really does. It makes me think about how often we limit ourselves with our own negative self-talk.
It's so easy to get caught in that trap.
It is. But what if we consciously chose to replace those negative thoughts with empowering affirmations?
What could we achieve then?
Exactly. Okay, so last but not least, for this theme, we have the story of Rick Little.
Rick Little.
And after a series of personal setbacks, he became consumed with this vision of creating a course to equip high school students with the life skills they needed to navigate the challenges of adulthood.
That's a great idea.
It is. And he dropped out of college and traveled the country, interviewing over 2,000 students to understand their needs and aspirations.
That's dedication.
It is. And you know, it wasn't easy for him. He faced skepticism and rejection at every turn, but he never gave up.
That's inspiring.
He was living on a shoestring budget, sleeping in his car, eating peanut butter crackers, but he kept going because he believed in his vision.
It sounds like it was really important to him.
It was, and you know what?
Yeah.
He actually had 155 grant proposals rejected.
155.
I know, before he finally secured the support he needed.
Wow, that's persistence.
It is, but it paid off because he ended up creating the Quest Skills program, which has now impacted millions of students worldwide.
That's amazing.
It is, and you know his story. It's a beautiful example of how purpose can emerge from adversity. Like he turned his own struggles into a driving force to help others.
Sometimes our greatest challenges can lead to our most meaningful contributions.
Exactly. It's like by overcoming those obstacles, we often discover our true potential.
And find our place in the world.
Right, and it's a powerful message to keep in mind as we navigate our own journey. So we've really gone through a lot of these stories, from Chicken Soup for the Soul.
Yeah, we have.
And I don't know about you, but I'm feeling pretty inspired.
Me too. These stories are so uplifting.
They are. And one of the things that's really sticking with me is this idea that sometimes our biggest obstacles aren't external. It's our own self-doubt that's holding us back.
That's a really good point.
Like, think about Angela, the woman who was paralyzed and then regained her ability to walk during the earthquake. It's like her belief in her limitations was actually what was keeping her from walking.
And once that belief was shattered, she was able to do what she thought was impossible.
Exactly. And it makes you wonder, what are we all capable of if we could just let go of our self-doubt?
That's a powerful question.
It is. And, another thing that's been coming up a lot is the importance of having people in our lives who believe in us.
Absolutely.
Like so many of these individuals, they had mentors, friends, family members who encouraged them along the way.
It makes a huge difference.
It does. It's like having that support system can really help us overcome challenges and achieve our goals.
And it's not just about receiving support. It's also about giving support.
That's true.
Like, who are the people in your life who you can be that source of encouragement for?
Yeah, it's a two-way street. So as we wrap up this deep dive, let's take a moment to recap the major themes we've explored.
Okay.
So we talked about love and kindness and how they can have a ripple effect. We talked about the importance of recognizing and expressing love to the people we care about. We talked about overcoming obstacles and achieving dreams and the power of belief and self-confidence. And finally, we talked about finding meaning and purpose in life.
It's amazing how all these themes are interconnected.
They are. It's like they're all part of the same tapestry of the human experience.
And it's a reminder that even though life can be challenging, there's always hope and always the potential for growth and connection.
Absolutely. And you know what else has really resonated with me is this idea that sometimes the smallest actions can make the biggest difference.
So true.
Like, remember the teacher who loved her students unconditionally, or the cab driver who spread kindness with compliments, or the stranger who offered comfort on a train. These were all simple acts, but they had a profound impact.
It's a good reminder that we all have the power to make a positive difference in the world.
Exactly. And it doesn't have to be anything grand or complicated. Sometimes it's just about being present and offering a kind word or a helping hand.
Absolutely.
So as we leave this deep dive, I want to leave you with this question. What seemingly insignificant act of love or kindness could you offer today that might have a ripple effect on those around you?
That's a great question to ponder.
It is. And with that, I want to thank you for joining us on this journey into the heartwarming and inspiring stories of Chicken Soup for the Soul.
It's been a pleasure.
And until next time, keep those heartwarming stories coming.